I was sitting at my desk in front of my computer, and I saw a 6 to 7 foot phantom quickly peek around the corner from the hallway into my home office, and then retreated to disappear into nothing. Has anyone else encountered this? At first I thought it was my girlfriend, but as soon as I called out, "Babe, was that you?" she stopped what she was doing and ran to me, needing me to comfort her because she frights very easily. I wasn't actually scared at all, but she was terrified when I explained to her what had just happened to me. She thought I was playing a prank on her, but I swear I wasn't. This is actually the 3rd to 4th encounter like this I've had, and the only time it happens while she was at home. I haven't told her about the other instances because I don't want her to be scared. Has anyone else had an encounter like this? Some general facts. 1. I leave all doors open so my cats can glance out the windows in any room or get to their litter scattered around the house in different bathrooms. Number 2, my girlfriend was in the kitchen doing the dishes actively at the time this happened. She's 4'11", and I'm 5'11". Number 3, we have no kids. Number 4, didn't feel like a malicious intent coming from it. What do y'all think? I can vividly remember all of them. Every experience I've had with the paranormal, it's something you don't forget. The worst one that I think has ever happened to me was probably around Christmas. I remember being around 7 or 8 and living with my dad and his girlfriend, who had 2 other kids at the time. Their relationship was the worst, honestly. I think that she had some kind of spirit attached to her. Anyways, I remember laying down that night and turning on the Christmas lights that my dad had set up in my room. I've always been scared of the dark, and even now sleep with a nightlight. I laid there and fell asleep. I was woken up by the sound of my walk-in closet door slowly opening. It had this scary creaking sound to it that honestly made me want to cry every time I heard it. To this day, I know what I saw, and I honest to God know that I was not sleeping. I saw a man come out of my closet dancing. He was wearing black and white, and I swear to God I was terrified. I started crying as quietly as I could and watching as he stopped at my door and looked at me. His eyes were bloodshot. I didn't sleep that night. I laid there in my bed crying for what seemed like an eternity, and when the morning came, I went to my dad and told him about it. My dad told me that I might be having a bad dream, to which I agreed, and I tried to forget about it, but I can't. I can't forget about that. How do you forget about seeing a tall 6 to 6'1" guy dancing out of your closet and then stare at you before leaving down your hallway as if nothing happened? I just don't know. In 2016, I went on a joint trip to the Czech Republic and Germany. In Germany, I stayed with my uncle, who has a tiny hoarding problem with World War collectibles. The entire attic was filled with uniforms, photos, tapes, newspapers, books, photos, and a lot more. This time, he let me keep some items since I love the history of weapons and strategies. I brought back some pens, newspapers, and books. Kept all the stuff in the attic until I packed up my bags and returned home to the States. I came in late and I was so tired, so I went straight to bed. The next day, I unpacked the World War memorabilia that I brought and distributed the items to different spots in my room, like drawers, shelves, and my closet. After the day was over, I headed to bed. At around 2 a.m., I woke up and I was facing my wall. I remember my heart racing and I turned around so I could see my entire room. I saw a black figure walk from the middle of my room to the glass sliding door, and then it went away. I urgently wanted to get up and scream, but I was completely paralyzed. After that, I took a lot of the items and offloaded them to my history teacher and never experienced anything again. Hey all, I thought I'd share some weird stuff that's been going down in my newer house, old house. I'll start with the house I moved out of a little over a year ago. My family seems to be some kind of magnet for spirits, and we experienced stuff for around 4 years in that house. My mom would hear my siblings and I calling her name when we weren't home to do the calling. She once heard my older brother, who was into death metal, and would sing it very loud, singing a song in his room just for him to come home from work 10 minutes later. I felt something hover over me while I was washing my face one time. My dad said it was just electricity, but it was literally a whole person about a millimeter from my skin. My younger brother heard loud boots stomping upstairs when he was home alone. Scared the crap out of him. Loads more small things like that occurred. My dad always said we were crazy, though after moving out he admitted to hearing stuff a time or two. Then we moved to the south and rented a house that's about 20 years old, and the weird stuff has continued. We'll hear weird things, feel like something or someone is watching us. I was taking off a dress once and I felt fingers press against my back as if to zip the dress back up. I turned and called out to my mom thinking she'd be there, but there was no one in my room. That was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. My sister and mom were in my sister's room looking at these old perfume bottles she had been gifted by our grandmother. They started making fun of the way the perfume smelled, and as they moved into a different topic, one of the perfumes slid off her desk and spilled on the floor. Another time when I decided to stay home from a trip to my great aunt's, huge mistake. The entire day was filled with terror. First off, my puppy kept staring down a hallway. I felt something on the stairway connected to it, so I didn't go upstairs for the rest of the day. Then, no joke, I heard people talking in my basement. Words cannot describe how horrifying that was. I slept on the couch that night while my puppy continued staring at random things. Since then, I have heard tapping on my window almost every night, in threes by the way, and my door has also been knocked on once or twice. My aunt came to visit once and felt someone dragging their fingers in a snaking pattern on her arm. It is scary. The ghost may not have malicious intent, but damn it, it feels like it might. I think that whatever this is may be connected to my mother somehow. She lived on and off in my great-grandmother's house, which was very, very haunted. But that's a story for a later date. Whatever was in there has followed my great aunt, I believe my grandmother, and more than likely my mother. I feel like it may have connected to me, since I'm the one who is experiencing the most strange stuff. I'm thinking of cleansing the house, but I'm unsure if it'll work, or will it just piss it off. Edit. My mom and I were speaking about this the other day, and I think I've come to the conclusion that this isn't the same spirit. In our other house, it was a mimic. We never had something touch us or throw something, ever. We heard banging, voices, and on occasion footsteps, but never had it physically interact with us. Either the spirit has evolved or we left the other ghost behind and connected with whatever was here. I may be overanalyzing this, but it's just a little theory that I have. Let me know what you guys think. Hey guys, pretty long story. I'll try to make it shorter for you. It begins with me and two of my girlfriends playing the so-called hide and seek alone. I played it twice before, but nothing ever happened. We do the usual prepare the doll, but one of our hairs inside and start the game. We go to hide, all of us sitting on a windowsill behind a thick curtain, our legs propped on the radiator underneath. I started with a strong mindset, as I do not believe in the paranormal. Not even a minute into the game, I started hearing soft pats of what seemed to be little feet stuffed with rice slowly go from the bathroom to my room. One of my other friends looked at me in shock. I later found out she was hearing a lot of other unexplainable noise, such as furniture doing the bumpy sound. Knowing I do not want to fuck around, we ran to the bathroom to spit salt water on the doll. When I ran past my room, I could still hear the little pit-pats of the tiny feet. When we got to the bathroom, the doll hadn't moved. Nothing had in fact moved. We end the ritual and choose to throw the plushie away. I carefully handpicked all the hairs we left in there and burnt them. Now the weird shit begins. It spreads in the course of around 3 to 4 months. 1. It was 6 a.m. and the same day we did the ritual. I was smoking a cigarette with one of the girlfriends. While we were chatting, a cigarette butt sprung up from the ashtray and rolled onto the table. We both saw it. 2. A few days later, I was home alone with my boyfriend. I went to feed the cats in my mom's room, and I saw my old crusty, dusty lamp was turned on. 3. A week after the lamp, I had an incident with a guy who would come to my door at weird hours of the night and ring the intercom, looking for me with a knife. My intercom started ringing at 4 a.m. I decided that was it, and I filed a police report. While waiting for that, I talked with the administrator of the block of flats and asked her to look on the security camera and tell me what he was doing the previous night. The administrator said nobody rang my intercom at 4 a.m. that night. She looked from 3 a.m. through until 4:30 a.m. with no person coming or going out of my block. 4. Sometime passes a month later, the same 2 girlfriends come for a sleepover. This one is by far the weirdest. They usually sleep on the couch in the living room. I went to sleep at around 3 a.m. I'll call them A and B for easier description. A has a weird feeling all night long, waking up continuously to look at the hallway to check if someone is there. At around 3:30, B feels 3 fingers tapping her shoulder twice and waking her up. B told me she felt the couch was very crowded. She turns around and sees me, just my hair, the rest submerged in blankets, sleeping in between her and A. She goes back to sleep. Sometime later, a light from a weird electrical box, which we don't use, behind the TV turns on and wakes B up. Light sleeper. It was pitch black in the living room. She gets up to grab a shirt and throw it in front of the light. She drinks some water and stuff. Then she turns on the flashlight and sees my hair. Again, this time hugging A from behind. B says, "Good night, OP. Good night, A." A responds to her, "I don't." In the morning, I was no longer with them in bed. They come to wake me up and ask me if I had slept with them. Of course I was shocked. I told them I'd been in my room since I went to sleep. I have never sleptwalked in my life. I am a heavy corpse sleeper, wherever you put me. I don't move an inch until I have slept enough. I sigh and grab my sage, not expecting anything. Close all the windows and doors in my home, sit on the couch, and light the sage. Where I was sitting, the air became very cold, and my whole right side turned cold as ice. 5. The day before today, the big water bowl I keep from my pets in the bathroom. It has roughly 1 liter of water inside of it, was spilled. My mom found it. The bowl was completely empty, and there was no water to be found. The bathroom towels were dry. No lick of water anywhere. We cannot explain where it went. 6. 4 to today. I wake up around 11 a.m., walk my dog, have a shower, eat something, and was over at my place sleeping on the couch. I go back to sleep while waiting for A to wake up. For context, I have had over 15 sleep paralysis phenomenons happen to me, so I am very scared of it. Just highly uncomfortable because I cannot breathe and my body hurts because I cannot move. I start dreaming. I see my room. I get up to go to the living room. A was no longer there. In her place right where she was sleeping, I saw a figure who looked a lot like her, just very disfigured, wearing the robe A was wearing in my house. The person thing was staring right into my soul. I get scared and lock myself in my room and lay in bed. I start experiencing sleep paralysis, but this time I am terrified for some reason. In reality now, A already woke up. I see her open my door to wake me up. I was experiencing sleep paralysis and trying to give her signals to wake me up, but she decides to let me sleep. not knowing I am in terrible pain and scared as fuck. She leaves and I cannot wake myself up from paralysis this time. I fall asleep eventually. I start dreaming again. I think. It's just 40 minutes on the clock of me trying really hard to stand up from the bed, but some force kept pushing me down and pinning me with strength, suffocating me, and I was paralyzed. My whole body hurt and I was so fucking scared. I felt a presence near me on the right. I kept trying to grab the phone, but I would drop it as I was barely able to even move. I felt so awake the whole time. When 40 minutes pass in real life, I hear the kitchen door open and coming to wake me up. I hear the kitchen door open and A coming to wake me up. Exactly the second she opens the door, this unexplainable force just disappears and I spring up onto my butt. I spring up on my butt on the bed, shouting A's name, instantly starting to cry. I knew it was 40 minutes because A texted me when she woke up. And when she actually woke me up from this horrible shit, I checked my phone. For some reason, I really thought I was going to die. I have never been this terrified. Guys, am I crazy? What's going on? I know this all sounds impossible or made up, believe me. But it turned from a joke to something that's starting to really scare me. Wrote this post because I cannot sleep. What should I do?
Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything.